Here's a silly question for you. Which can you do longer, stand or hang? I guarantee even the best of us can only hang for a time that can still be measured in minutes, whereas the average person could stand for a few hours if they had to. This is something to consider on obstacles like the Z-wall, because if we took like rings or monkey bars or anything like that and said, you know what, it's low enough, if you can reach, go ahead and walk across while you're doing it. You absolutely would. And this is what you can do on the Z-wall. You're allowed to use your hands and feet. And especially with a more difficult grip with the pinch style, why wouldn't you focus on using the feet more, keeping the pressure there, rather than having all the stress on your hands and doing it like a hang? The key to staying on is going to be staying close to the wall. You want your hips, chest, everything as close as you can get to the wall, and feel that pressure pushing down through your feet. If it feels like you're hanging on for dear life, it's because you're leaning away from the wall. So if it feels like you're squeezing really hard to stay on, check and see where your chest is, where your hips are, everything like that. Pull yourself back into the wall and feel that weight go back down through your feet. If you're centered up over your feet, then one hand, couple of fingers, you can even let go for a second. See what I mean? So if I'm out here and I let go, I fall away. Which actually brings me to a good point. If you have a wall that you're practicing on and you're moving across and you slip and fall, if you fall straight down, that's actually a good thing. That means you were staying up against the wall, you were staying centered, and just you slipped and went straight down. If when you fall, you go back, that means that you were leaning away from the wall, and that's probably what ripped you off the wall in the first place. Some extra tips for staying on the wall are gonna be, instead of holding on straight like this, get on the corners if you can. So you're gonna have 2 fingers on top and 2 fingers on the side, kind of like this versus this. It's gonna prevent things like if you need to lean out a little bit farther than, if you need to reach for a block, if you're flat on top of a block, then you could slide off. Whereas if you have a little bit on the back, you'll be able to lean a little bit farther. Especially since some of them, if they're like angled like this, if you're on the top, you could actually have your fingers leaning into that direction, in which case, if you lean this way, they're gonna pull straight off because you don't have any counter pressure. Also, if you can, try and avoid the hook grip. Try and get your thumb under there if you can, because when you're pushing up with your feet, if you're in hook grip and push up with your feet, you're gonna lift your hands right off the block. Whereas if you have a thumb under when you push up, you can actually create a wedge. And you're holding on that way as well. So remember, we want a wide, stable base as much as we can, but if you have it on the sides, pulling in versus straight down or off to one side or anything like that, and then having the thumbs under so you can create a wedge while you're holding on. Those are really gonna help you stay on the wall. Now let's talk about our body positions to move along the wall. I want you to remember some letters: X, Y, A, and I. There aren't really any rules when it comes to moving across the wall, like hand, foot, or hand, foot, hand, or anything like that. It just kind of whatever feels natural at the time. And that's why I say try and remember the letters, because however you end up moving, if you keep these in mind, you'll be able to maintain stability on the wall. That being said, X is going to be your most stable position because you have wide hands, wide feet, and a very large range of stability that both upper body and lower body are handling. If for any reason I need to have my hands on one block, the stability can still be maintained with my feet. If I need to have my feet on one block, then my hands can hold the stability. If I have my hands and my feet on one block like this is the I position, and that's just terrible. You never want to end up in that position. There's no I in team, there's no I in Spartan, and there's no I in Z-wall. And that's why X is going to be our most stable position across the wall, because I'm always maintaining the wide hands, wide feet, and going across. Unfortunately, not everybody's blessed with long arms and long legs to be able to do that. And that's why I'm going to talk about some foot techniques. First one's called the switch. Basically what I'm doing is I'm going to take the front foot that's on the block and then replace it with the back foot. How I'm going to do that is post up onto the ball of the front foot, bring the other foot right up under it. We want to get as close as we can because the smaller the motion, the less of a chance of messing it up. And we don't need to be way back here kicking field goals. We're just going to come up right under it, little hop up, and replace it with the back foot. So when we're on the wall, we're here, leaning forward, trying to keep that wide base with the arms, posting up nice and straight over that front foot, coming right up under it, and switch. The variation of that, where the foot goes over the top, same thing, wide base with the arms, posting up, but now I'm going to lean out just a little bit, bring that foot right above it. Same thing, we don't need a huge motion, we're not coming from up here, as close as I can get to it, and then the foot kicks out to the side, other foot drops down onto the block. Now, something to consider with that one is when I take my back foot and thread it up against the wall, instead of just letting it drop onto the block, I'm actually pushing this leg out against the wall, because I'm gonna have that friction to help kind of slow it down so it's a nice soft press onto the block rather than just crashing down onto it. And then finally the walk, same thing. Wide base with the arms, leaning out just a little bit, and this time the back foot threads all the way through, becomes the front foot. Can move the hands if I need to, trying to keep that hip nice and close to the wall, and then stepping up, shifting however I need to, and sliding down. Now we come to the corners. A lot of people are intimidated by going around these corners, but I want to tell you that corners are your friends. Because staying on a wall flat like this, that's hard. When you can actually move out into three-dimensional space, that's a whole lot easier. One thing you do want to do though is, like on the blocks for the corners, I already told you want to have like 2 fingers on top and 2 fingers on the side pulling in. When you start to go around the corner, if you feel comfortable, bring your whole hand around to the side. The reason why is once I get here, if I have my hand on the back of the block, I'm using my thumb to support, but I can lean out as far as I want because I'm hanging on that block to see what's going on around the other side and find my next grab. Then, once I grab that one, I'm gonna get on the side of this one too, because this is where I can lean out this way. So then when I'm actually on the corner, both of these blocks, I'm pulling in this direction and pulling in this direction. So I'm actually very comfortable on the outside corner. Then when I finally get around to the inside corner, I want you to tell me how much upper body strength I'm using on the inside corner. This is actually a really good rest spot if you need it. Sometimes it's best to just knock it out and get it done, but if you need to, this is a good place to kind of stop, shake out those hands because you're just leaning into the corner and you'll be totally fine. Some final tips are, if you are not sure of your ability on this wall, so I'm not even just talking about strength. I mean, if you're wet, muddy, tired, anything, maintain 3 points of contact, 3 points of secure contact. What I mean is, we have both feet, both hands, we have 4 points of contact. So if I know I'm moving my right hand, I want to make sure these 3 are secure. I'm going to move that one, and then make sure this one's locked in before I move my next one, whether it's a foot, hand, whatever. But I always want to make sure 3 of the 4 points of contact are securely on the wall before I try and move one. Now, if you're running like a stadium, or you know you're strong enough and you're feeling good and everything like that, you can go to 2, like if you're doing the skip method too, how we have to lift the foot up and trade and stuff like that, then you're gonna be in 2 points of contact. So it's just gonna be the hands for a split second. If you feel good, by all means do it. But remember, this is an obstacle that, while challenging, isn't super difficult in the grand scheme of things. There are obstacles out there that are pretty difficult. This is one where people mess up just by rushing and not paying attention to how locked in they are. So be aware of that when you're going across, and you'll do just fine. And finally, if you are right there, like 2 feet from the bell, but you know you've got nothing left on this obstacle and you're coming off, as long as you can do it without breaking a hip, go ahead and dive for that bell. At least then you got a 50-50 chance of not doing burpees, am I right? Anywho, that's all I've got for the Z-Wall. I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope you learned something. Please remember to like, share, and subscribe. I'm David Funk here at Camp Rhino in Las Vegas. I'll see you on the course.